Are you in the market for a bass amp simulator pedal, but you don't have a lot of money? Well, today I'm going to be showing you the Behringer B-Tone Bass Amp Simulator DI box, and as a special bonus, I'm going to be comparing it to a SansAmp. And if you're a bassist, you know what that is. This is expensive, and this is not. Can this $30 option keep up with this $150 option? Let's find out. Alright, here's how the bass guitar sounds all by itself without any processing from the pedals. This is just going EQ neutral from me to you. I know what you're thinking. What's with the pick? Are you a bassist? No, I'm not a bassist.
I'm not a rapper.
Here's some fingers though, just in case. All right, I'm not here to convince you how to play bass. I'm here to convince you about this pedal and if it's worth your money. All right, so I'm actually going to start with the SansAmp, which I know sounds weird, but I think we should compare it to the cream of the crop. But once again, this is a $150 pedal, but this is what we're trying to see. Are we getting the best bang for our buck even though we don't have a lot of money? So SansAmp, activate. And with the fingers, because I know you want it. So now we can see. What I did was I kind of just went with almost neutral. I basically just got a tone that wasn't too gritty or not thin enough. It was just kind of right down the middle. So everything's almost at noon except for just a little bit of ones here and there. So now that we heard the SansAmp, which obviously sounds amazing, it should be, it's expensive. Let's go ahead and plug in the Behringer and see what it can do. Same settings. Alright, I got the Behringer plugged in, and I got the exact same settings as the SansAmp from the tone that I liked out of that thing. So let's go ahead and compare apples to apples and see how close we are with just doing the exact same thing. So activate the V-tone. And with the fingers. Alright, so if you're like, oh man, I'm not quite sure. What is that Behringer doing for the tone? Well, you could just tell. This is without it. Activate. It's a much nicer tone. It's much more full. And this is just kind of doing one for one. So obviously, it doesn't sound exactly the same as the SansAmp, but that's because this one costs 5 times more. So what we have to do is adjust some of the settings so we can kind of get a little bit closer. The first thing I noticed was the SansAmp sounded a little more clear and just slightly more gritty with just a little bit more power. But we have options on here. So I just want to run through these for you. So the first one is your drive. That's going to be your distortion, your gain, your grittiness, right? Then you have treble and bass. There is no mids, and it's just like the SansAmp. Mid is standard. So what you do is you boost the bass and the treble for a mid scoop sound, and then you reduce the bass and the treble for a mid boost. Then you have your level, which is your overall level out to the pedal, out of the pedal. Then you have your presence. Your presence is kind of a way to do the mid-high boost, and what that does is literally give you more presence in the mix. So you'll hear a little bit more of the strings, a little bit more of the twang. And then the final one here is just the mix or the blend. So what this means is how much of the sound do you want it to be this pedal, and how much do you want it to be straight from your bass. Certain genres you might want to blend a mix of the two, but for the most part you're kind of using this to drive the sound and tone you want. So that's why you would pretty much keep it at 100 unless you're intentionally trying to pull a little bit more of the bass itself out and a little bit less of the pedal. So why don't we just go ahead and adjust some of these settings so we can get a little bit more of a full sound and get it a little bit closer to the SansAmp. So the first thing I'm going to do is increase the drive a little bit. I need a little more grit to that. I also am going to add a little bit more presence because I felt like the SansAmp had just a little bit more natural presence there. And as far as the bass and trebles go, I'll do a little bit more bass, and I'm going to leave the treble where it is. I'm going to leave the level the same because I'm trying to do apples to apples, so I don't want the volume increase to throw you off on which one's supposed to be sounding better. But other than that, let's see how it sounds now. That sounds lovely, to be honest. Now, I know what you're going to want to do is like kind of compare this with some music in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and play one of my band's songs just for a little snippet so you can see how the bass will sound with some other instruments like drums and guitars. Sounds pretty good to me, to be honest. Now, obviously, some of you out there are like, bro, that's not enough grit. I need a little bit more. You can just, like I said, you can adjust all these things. Honestly, I'm incredibly happy with this Behringer. But this Behringer does all the same functions that you would get out of the SansAmp. You get the output straight to your bass amp, so like a 1/4 inch output, and then you get that XLR output, which is pretty much probably why you're buying this pedal, either so you can record your bass guitar through one of your mixer boards or your audio interface, or so when you're playing shows, a lot of the times those venues, they want to go ahead and do DI for the bass anyway. So if your bass amp doesn't have a DI out or an XLR out, then they can go straight with this pedal, which is fantastic. So the functionality is there. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, well, what about the build quality? Well, the thing itself is actually metal. The only thing concern is probably the nubby button thing here. Yes, that's plastic. What? And it doesn't have like a very solid click. It's just like a smush on, smush off. But, you know, bassists, you know, they're pretty chill and stuff. So, you know, you just hit it and stuff. For $29, though? Come on now. I'm very happy with this purchase. Now, obviously, if you're made of money, you got a ton of money, well, then why are you wasting your time with that? Go with the SansAmp. But I'm poor, and you're probably poor too if you're looking for something value like me. So I would actually highly recommend this Behringer V-Tone. It's going to do what you want. And if you want that grit, just turn it up. Crank. You want that muse? I know what you're going for. You're like, let me get some of that muse. Fine. I don't know the song. There's basses out there that know how to play that, bro. And you're like, oh, you can't play with a pick? That's sacrilegious. Okay. I can't do it. I'm really not a bassist, but you could tell. It's gritty. Fantastic, dude. I highly recommend it. 5 stars. Well, I don't know if I give it 5 stars. 4 stars because of the nubby and the thingy. If that was a solid click with a metal nub, it would get 5 stars. That's the only thing holding it back. Now, if this video convinced you to buy this Behringer pedal, this is through Amazon, and I put a link in the description below. So if you are going to buy this pedal, I would appreciate it so much if you clicked on the link and then bought it. Because I'm an affiliate, and Amazon, they said Jeffrey Bezos, he's like, I'll give you a few pennies every time somebody does it. But guess what? Those pennies add up, and I'm poor. So please, use the link if you're going to buy this thing. It's only $29, and I might get like 29 cents. And that adds up. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.